In Herminia Ibarra's HBR article, The Authenticity Paradox, she shares the story of a leader who believed in transparency and authenticity. And so when she was promoted to her new, more challenging position, she was vulnerable with the expanded team. I want to do this job well, but it's scary and I need your help, she told them. The authenticity backfired and she lost credibility. Her new team wanted her to be a confident decision maker. But the fact is, trust in our leaders is low. Employee engagement is low. We actually want leaders who lead with authenticity. In the new rules of executive presence, authenticity is the new expectation that we have of leaders. At Work Wisdom, we often discuss the work of Van Morris and Francis Fry, who taught us the 3 drivers of trust. Empathy is one driver. Logic, judgment, reasoning is another. But the third is maybe the most obvious one, authenticity. Can I trust I'm experiencing the real you? So what does that mean for authentic leaders? How in the heck do we balance being authentic and leading? Welcome to The Behaviorist with Work Wisdom, where we help you adopt high-performance mindsets, behaviors, communication, and culture. I'm your host, Sarah Colantonio. Our intention for the Behaviorist podcast is to share accessible, concrete practices you can weave into your whole life to begin a shift towards joy and meaningful achievement. Today on the show, we want to explore authentic leadership. So I had to ask, we're so grateful to have Abby Rivera, a principal in the Lancaster School District, joining me today. Thank you, Abby, for coming.
Oh, thank you, Sarah, for having me.
So, back in 2003, Bill George wrote a book called Authentic Leadership. And in it, we learn about authentic leaders and how they do things differently. Authentic leaders are pretty blatant in their energy around their purpose. Number one, they definitely live according to their values. They lead with heart. And you can see why I talked to you about this. But they also push for results and high performance. So when this topic came up, I thought, I have to see if Abby is going to be into this. You really embody authentic leadership in my mind. But I wanted to start with, for you, what does authentic leadership mean to you?
Well, I think you have to break down the words itself. So authentic and then leadership, and then somehow they combine together. Mm-hmm. So my motto at work and at home is to be your authentic self. Yeah. And what does that mean to you? What are your values? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What makes you, and in my case, what makes me be Abby Rivera, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. What is authentically who I am? And to have that courage and that vulnerability to acknowledge those strengths, acknowledge mm-hmm. those weaknesses, and make them be live.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, what are your actions? How do they match what you're projecting?
Yeah.
And then I think leadership is, how do you put that into practice?
Yeah.
You know, how do you lead with integrity? Mm-hmm. How do you show that in everything that you do in every single day?
Yeah. Yeah, I love the fact that it's more for you, I think, how you live it. It's like, it's not necessarily a definition. It's just like, this is how you show up.
This is who I am. And it's funny because I say that motto everywhere. And so like my staff says, well, I'm authentically myself, or that student is being authentically themselves. And my youngest child mm-hmm. says it all the time. Mom, I am just being authentically myself. Okay, Zach, I'm glad that you are being authentically yourself. But I think it shows you being so comfortable in your own skin and knowing who you are and what you bring to the table, and then having that courage and that vulnerability. I don't know everything, and I'm not afraid to admit that.
Yeah.
You know, there's only a couple things I know very well in this world. I know how to make meatballs really well. I know that the Philadelphia Eagles are the greatest sports fans of all time, okay? And I know how to love and love deeply.
Yeah.
But they're the things I know in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And to have that courage and that vulnerability, be like, you know what, I don't know, but let's find this out together.
Yeah. Yeah. Where'd you get that confidence, Abby?
It's one of those things where, they always say like leadership, you choose leadership.
Mm-hmm.
No. Leadership chose me. And I think that comes with the way I was brought up.
Yeah.
And having that confidence to know that it's okay to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And it's okay to admit that you don't know everything. And I think in leadership, we have this idea that the image is what's important instead of the values.
Yeah.
And that took me a long time to get that. I was like 37 or 38 years old. I've only been so comfortable in my own skin for probably the past 5, 6, 7 years.
What clicked?
I honestly, I think I honestly don't know. I mean, I think there's pieces. I think it's surrounding yourself with very authentic leaders that you look up to. I think it was also meeting my husband, who was celebrating all of me, like the loud, the crazy side, but then the one that's inquisitive and has lots of questions to get to the bottom of things. And so I think it's, surrounding yourself with people who are that supportive and make you feel like it's okay to be who you truly are.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. Who are the people and experiences that have motivated you to be such an authentic leader?
So I think when I go back, I mentioned this before, that I don't think I chose leadership. I think leadership chose me. And so if I go back and I look and I really reflect, which I do often, on the people that I surrounded myself and that gave me my core values, I'm going to go back to the strong women within my life.
Yeah.
And so both my grandmothers, when I mean like strong in their personal convictions, strong and very different, but very strong in their personal convictions. And then the way I was raised, my father passed away when I was 10 years old, and watching my mother navigate sickness and then death, and then having to raise 3 girls by herself. Yeah. Resourceful is not the word to describe my mother. Probably savage is more likely, but she was very resourceful. So these traits that I watched, right? Strong conviction, strong values with resourcefulness. Yeah. Made me be who I was. I'm also the oldest. So like, that's why I said leadership chose me. Yeah. I had to be the leader. Yeah. And then, it just happened autonomously. And then and professionally, I've always put myself were very attracted to women who had those strong personal convictions, led with integrity, strong moral compass, and led with their heart. Yeah. And I can think of 4 women within the school district of Lancaster that were big into that. Camille Hopkins, Wanda Suarez, Melinda Wells, now April Hershey. So these women who have those traits, I personally connect with and look up to, and helped me mold into the leader I am today. Yeah,
I love that. That's so cool. So it sounds as if a lot of this is through hardship. It wasn't...
No, it was never easy. It was never easy. I always thought, it's funny, I had a conversation with my husband when we first started dating, because I was in leadership at the time, but I was not a principal. Okay. And I remember saying to him, I will not be a principal. And he was like, why? And I was like, because of who I am. Yeah. And I always thought who I am was a bad thing. I have an accent. I can get very passionate, okay, about my values and my feelings and what's important, and especially student success. And then, I just didn't think I met the image instead of the values, when in reality, I did meet the values. Yeah. Yeah. So he reminds me of that often. Remember when you didn't think you were going to be? Well, yeah. Yes, I know. Okay, I remember. But because I always thought that the image was what was important, when in reality it's the values of what's important.
Yeah, every time. So part of authentic leadership, you talked a little bit, you mentioned earlier about doing a lot of reflection. Like, how do you grow in self-awareness? What tools do you use? When are those moments when you're like,
So I reflect all the time. Okay. I am always constantly reflecting. How was this successful? First of all, was it successful? Okay. And how do I know that it was successful? Yeah. And if it wasn't successful, what could we have done differently to make it be successful? And I use the word we on purpose. Okay. It is not an I. It is a we, right? Yeah. We go through and we're here, you know, especially in my role, to generate student success, academically, socially, emotionally. That's our jobs, okay, or to foster this within children. And so that's why I say it's a we, because it's not a me single-handedly. Yeah. So when I'm reflecting, it's what could we have done differently? I'm always asking questions. I don't know if that's the historian in me, because I was a social studies teacher for a very long time. I don't know if that's what it is, but I'm always constantly asking questions to get to the bottom of it so that I'm able to self-reflect and then move forward. I think it's also being really emotionally intelligent and understanding your own emotions. Yeah. And say, okay, well, I recognize this is the way I'm feeling, and now I need to understand it, and I'm going to label it. So yes, it might come across as angry, but am I really angry, or am I more just frustrated, or am I disappointed, right? And then being able to regulate that. So I think, and being emotionally intelligent and understanding how to do that is how I'm also self-aware, and then identifying the emotional triggers to manage my reactions. Oh, yeah, okay. And I just had a conversation with my sister recently about triggers, and then how sometimes I think, you know, now that I'm in my 40s, I know my triggers far better than I did when I was in my 20s or my 30s.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you definitely know, and you're like, oh, I know this about myself, and then being able to be that vulnerable to say, like, I didn't handle this correctly. Yeah. Let's move past this. It's that courage to be vulnerable piece too. Yeah.
I think, I mentioned in the intro about the new rules of executive presence, and this researcher did like a longitudinal study from, I think it was 2012 to 2022. And there were some things that stayed the same, but new like traits of leaders that are expected. Authenticity is a big part of it, but what's so fascinating is what you were talking about, which is like this listen to learn orientation, like asking questions, knowing you don't know everything, and being really like authentically curious. And I think it comes down to, like, we really are craving it. We want our leaders so much more. I mean, and Wickersham is having so much success.
We are.
That's the other thing. It's like,
we are.
It's not just, it's not just being open. It's like performance is happening at this school.
It is. And before the end of the year was over, I had a staff member write me a letter. Okay, because I always have that. One of the end of the year activities is you have to write yourself a letter. Okay. And then you have to write a letter to a colleague. Okay. Nice. And usually they write it to each other. But this time I got the letter. And the one thing she said that I really think this is why, not the reason why, but one of the reasons why we are successful is she said, you have a way to make us feel like people first instead of just teachers. Yeah. And I think that's that idea of being authentic. We come with so many other things, right? Yeah. I'm, like I always say, I'm a mom first, then I'm an educator, I'm a good cook, I'm a passionate Eagles fan. Okay. There's so many things that make up who I am as a human, and recognizing that, and then trusting that piece that, yes, you come with all these items, right? But trusting that you're there at the end of the day for our students. Yeah. And I do give a lot of autonomy with professional decision making. Okay. My big motto is, please don't make me micromanage. Okay, I don't want to ever micromanage. Please do not make me micromanage you. And I think that creativity empowers my staff to make the best possible decisions for positive student outcomes. Yeah. And I think that's what works, and then to be that thought partner, to say, okay, so this is the idea you want to do. Yeah. Okay, great. How are we going to achieve this? Yeah. How is this going to lead to positive student outcomes? Okay. What is basically, and again, it's the social studies, what's the opportunity cost, right? And it works.
Yeah.
And it works really, really well. And I think it's a lot of it I'm going to chalk up to my staff.
Yeah.
My staff has a lot of skill. They have a lot of fantastic qualities. And we all have the same vision that we want what's best for students.
Yeah.
Not just academically, but socially and emotionally too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the
recipe.
Yeah. I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about values. So we always define values as deeply held beliefs that guide our behavior. They're so, it sounds like you are very in tune with what your values are and have been for a very long time. And that must be really important for authentic leaders. Like, know what your values are. Like, talk to me about.
Yeah, I mean, you have to know what your values are, because then you're going to lead with your values in mind, and your actions. To be authentic and to lead with authenticity is to have your actions match your values.
Yeah.
And so for me, students are always at the first and the foremost. And and it's funny because I think when I was asked this question, and I kind of was self-reflecting, what is the biggest part of that? What are my values as far as education? And I think it's that piece of that growth mindset. Okay. You may not know it yet, but you're eventually going to learn it.
Yeah.
Knowledge is, and your education is the only thing nobody can take away from you.
Yeah.
It is it. Okay. It is the only thing that you inherently own inside of the core of who you are. And so, yes, you might get frustrated that you're not there yet, but let me cheer you on. I'm going to be your cheerleader. Okay. I'm going to be there working with you and cheering you on and getting hype. Okay. And doing those pieces, because that's what's important.
Yeah.
And it's all three of those things. It's not just academics. It's also that social and emotional piece too.
Yeah. 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 We were doing another episode earlier. We record a bunch on the same day. Yeah. And we were just talking about this idea of learning and how, like, real learning, it's complicated. Like, it's uncomfortable. Like, it's tough. And so I think having someone who is cheerleading and believes in you and is like, oh, you stumbled? That's okay. That's part of it. Like, you're going to fall down, but you can get right back up. And I know you can. You do project, like, so much care. And, like, can I say the L word? Can I say love?
Yeah, you can. You can say love. It's okay because it's true.
Yeah. I mean, I think in so many industries we shy away from that, but I think you bring that, and I think it must be a value.
It is, and I think that's what my staff sees, and I think it's what my students see. I think it's what the community sees, and my caregivers, is that I do care. I'm not just saying that I do.
Yeah.
These are the reasons why I care, and these are the reasons why I love, because I always wanted. And I'm not trying to say that the schooling I had, but the schooling in the 1990s is not the schooling of today, okay? I don't think the 1990s were very emotionally intelligent, okay?
We didn't talk about it.
No, we did not talk about feelings. We were like, suck it up, all right? Put a Band-Aid on it and call it a day.
Yeah.
But now we are.
Yeah.
And I think that part is what's really important, and I think it's what I embody. Yeah. Right? It's like, I care about you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to cheer you on from the sidelines. It's okay to make a mistake.
Yeah.
You don't have to be perfect.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing. Biggest thing.
And I think we live in a world sometimes where that's the expectation, but it's not reality.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah. Okay.
It's also about being comfortable in your own skin to know, hey, I'm not always going to be great at this, but I'm going to try.
Give it a
and
shot.
I may not get it there yet, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I love it. I think that I started the intro with that story about that leader who was really open, and that whole article, The Authenticity Paradox, was like, don't be too open, don't be too vulnerable. has it cost you? Has it ever cost you? Has it burned you to be an authentic leader?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like if it ever cost me. I think sometimes you can come across as a different way when you're not trying to be.
Yeah.
I remember, I had a leader when I was a teacher a couple years ago tell me that I was aggressive and I can come across as intimidating, right? But I want to use the word passionate instead. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes the perception can cost you when that's not really the perception you're trying to give.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting example too, because I think sometimes when women are told that they're coming across as aggressive.
I was like, can we change the word to a passionate, please? Thank you. I will take passionate.
Can we talk about triggers?
Yeah, I know. That's exactly it. But it is. I mean, it can cost you. I think sometimes, being a little too vulnerable, you can come across as weak. But I don't think this ever happened when I was a principal, though.
Yeah.
I think it happened prior to me being a principal.
Yeah. The thing that in that article that she talked about was almost the solution to like not being overly vulnerable. Like you can be vulnerable, but you still need to have a plan.
Yes.
And I remember you and I chatting, and there was a lot of fear around the cuts to education, and you were just like, well, if I have to, you're like, you already had like what you were gonna do.
I was gonna be selling
totally.
Chicken cutlets across the street.
Exactly. You're like, that's not gonna stop me from doing what I need to do. And I think that's a thing for you. It's like people still believe you've got a plan. You're gonna try something.
I have a plan. And it's funny because I think if you asked if my leadership team was in here, they would say my second line besides being authentically yourself is I have a plan for the plan. Yeah. But I also think that that's part of the way I was raised. It's that resourcefulness that that I watched my mother do. Yeah. And then it became part of who I am. And then I've also seen my sisters be the same way. The three of us are very similar with having a plan for the plan. Yeah. We have a plan. And if that doesn't work, then we have another plan.
Next. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like everybody was, I was laughing at the time with the whole budget cuts, but I mean, it was being serious. Like my secretary will be selling chicken cutlet sandwiches across the street.
We will be fine.
Yeah, I know.
I
got you.
We're gonna pay these teachers.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna make it work.
So what advice do you have? Let's think about the leaders out there that are maybe struggling with this a little bit. This idea of being authentic. Maybe they're feeling cautious about their authenticity. What advice do you have for them?
I would say, and with my cliche Philadelphia, trust the process. Yeah. And I really do seriously mean that. Mm-hmm. I think you're not going to know everything right off the bat, but you have to have trust. Yeah. And you have to have an investment in trust. Mm-hmm. Because that is what's going to be the biggest bang for your buck. Yeah. Is to be able to trust in yourself and trust in others. Yeah. And to have that investment is going to yield great rewards. And I think the biggest piece that it's going to yield is that increased positive climate and culture. Yeah. In whatever you do as you're in your position. So for us, being in education is having that positive climate and culture, which the data does support that we do at Wickersham. Yeah. It does for both students and staff. I believe it. Then you see that academic gains, right? Yep. So you see that when people want to be in school and people want to go to educate students, they enjoy being there. Yeah. Students want to come to school. Then you're going to see the increase in student outcomes. Yeah. And so that all comes with investing in yourself and others. Yeah, I love it. Perfect. Thank you so much. One last question, which I didn't send to you, but how well do you think the Eagles are going to do
this coming season?
Well, we have a new defense, so that makes me nervous. But and this is what I'm going to say. I said this to all of my children, that my greatest joy was watching that game with all of my children and my husband, the Cowboys fan. What? And everybody was rooting for the Eagles. And watching that game and then being able to celebrate it at the parade. And it was like the most perfect day, which I was reminded multiple times that I have given birth and been married and was married. Okay. So these days should far outweigh the Eagles parade. I am okay if we have a good season.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay with that because last season was spectacular, and I'm still on the high, and also that the Dallas Cowboys fans get to watch us hang our banner on the first game. So that's what I'm excited for.
I love it. All right, I like how you're so kind. You're like, it's okay. You don't have to try to level up next year.
No, it's okay. Yeah. See, it's trusting in the process.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you, Abby. I'm so grateful for you for being part of this movement to help others in the workplace enhance their individual and collective team performance. Thank you, listeners, for downloading The Behaviorist. We hope you'll subscribe. Please contact us through our website, workwisdomllc.com. You can enjoy Work Wisdom Press and productions, ask questions, and give suggestions about topics you'd like us to explore in future episodes. I have a little quote. As is our custom, we end in a quote. This is actually Marcus Buckingham. He says, "Authenticity is your most precious commodity as a leader."